Hello again. Alright, I'm going to be doing a recipe for something I cook a lot of, which is curry. If I was to show you my spice rack, which I can, just by there, you'd see that curry's the meal that I can kind of knock up whenever I want, really, with most ingredients. And I love it, I love spice. But I'm going to show you my favourite curry recipe, which is from this book. This is the Indian cooking book. It's all vegetarian. That completely changed the way I cook. I'll leave that there as a little reminder. And usually if I learn a recipe, I then play around with it. I adapt it to my own tastes. But this recipe is just perfection. So I'm just going to show you how to cook from here. I'm also going to do the rice recipe that I've followed for over a decade, which is Jamie Oliver's steamed rice. Now, the only thing I do that it doesn't say in the recipe, and again I picked this up from Indian cooking, is I soak my rice overnight, or at least for the day. But the rice I'm using now is soaked overnight. This water here is currently boiling. I've given my rice like a good few washes so the water's clear. So I'm putting my rice in there, boiling salted water, and I keep it on the high heat. We're going to boil that. From the moment that the rice starts sort of moving around, we're going to boil it for a straight 5 minutes. Okay, this pan, it's got a healthy amount of oil in. This is the Prashad recipe. Got a big bowl of cauliflower. I didn't even say this part, did I? It's cauliflower and pea curry. Big bowl of cauliflower. This cauliflower is huge. It probably wouldn't usually be that much. A bowl of chopped tomatoes. Chopped coriander. 400-gram frozen peas. You can use fresh. I use frozen. In this guy here, teaspoon of cumin seed and a teaspoon of mustard seed. That's going to go into my hot oil now. Right, while we wait for that to pop, we've got, this is called asafoetida. If you haven't got it, the recipe will still be lovely. But if you have any sort of Asian, Indian supermarket near you, then this stuff costs about 60p for like 100 grams. And it smells, it's the most insane smells in the world. Not necessarily a nice smell, but it adds a lot of flavour. I can hear that my mustard seeds and cumin seeds starting to pop. This is the last thing here. In here we have a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon and a half of salt, and a tablespoon of ground coriander. That's it. That's everything we need. Rice is on, still on that high heat. And I just want these mustard seeds to start popping. And when they're good to go, we're just going to add, you don't need a lot of this stuff. We're going to do a quarter of a teaspoon. Right, so I can hear my mustard seeds are starting to pop. So we're going to lower the heat and go in with some asafoetida. Right, that's in. Going in now with your cauliflower. Forgot an ingredient, didn't I? In here I've got 6 chilies. I know, you can do less, but I've got 6 chilies and 5-6 centimetre of ginger, just whizzed up. You can chop it up, it's fine, but if you've got a little hand blender, then do it in that. So we're going in with cauliflower, ginger and chili, Spices, so that's your turmeric, your ground coriander, your salt, and your sugar. Get this heat up a bit. Give that a regal mix. A regal mix? Try a real good mix. Alright. Just get it so everything's a bit nicely coated, nicely mixed around. And keep that on a fairly high heat. Get your pan on. We're going to just give that a little stir every couple of minutes. Burn yourself if you want to. Alright, this rice, I'd say it's been on the boil about 5 minutes. What you want now is your sieve and a cup. I tend to use cups that I don't really care about in case the heat cracks them. Get me a cup. I'll use my wife's world's greatest sister cup. So literally all we're going to do, I'm going to do it with a sink which you can't see. Get your sieve over your cup, pour your rice over so that you reserve some of this. Get your rice down to a simmering level. Handle is a bit hot, even with my asbestos hands. Okay, put that cup of reserved real hot water back in. Get your rice over. Oh, I forgot that was hot. Get some kitchen foil. If you don't have kitchen foil, hello. If you don't have kitchen foil, this works just a plate over the sieve. But if you have got kitchen foil, then it's a lot better because you're basically making your own steamer. So, oh, forgot that was hot again. Got your pan, got your sieve on top. Foil over. Get that on the simmer. Stir this collie guy. Honestly, I can already smell how good this curry is. It's one of those dishes where, even though you know what you've put in there, you just can't believe how good it tastes at the end. Like I said, the rice technique here is Jamie Oliver steamed rice recipe that whenever I try and do anything different, it's never as good. If you just Google Jamie Oliver steamed rice, you'll find it. Like I say, you can soak your rice. If you know you're cooking it the next day, soak your rice the day before and then just give it a couple of good washes on the day. The difference, your rice goes from rice to like restaurant level rice. That's pretty much done. That's just going to simmer now. That's the rice for 10 minutes. And then you're just fluffing it with a fork at the end. All we're really doing now is waiting on this collie. Giddy, we can skip this for a couple of minutes. Okay, cool. Rice is simmering. You can switch that off early, keep the foil on top, but you want it on about 10 minutes. But yeah, if you want to switch it off, keep the foil on top, it'll stay perfectly warm. Cauliflower, it's been on a high heat for about 7-8 minutes. Oh man. Something about the smell of cauliflower with Indian spices. 400 grams of peas into the pan. Now, it says in the book that if you're using fresh peas, then when you add them in, I think it says 75 millilitres of boiling water. I've never done that myself. I'm sure it's lovely with fresh peas, but you know, there's a beauty of always having frozen peas in your freezer. Along with those peas, we'll do the chopped tomatoes. If you've got a normal sized cauliflower, you just want one tomato. This cauliflower is a beast, so I've got two. I've made this curry before where I haven't had any fresh tomatoes and I've used, a tin or half a tin. It's not as good, but still good. Give that all a good mix. Pan back on, just a few more minutes now. So, coriander is going to go in half into the pan to mix around and then half to put on at the end. Got your rice. So, soaked my rice overnight, washed it real good. Into this pan on boiling water, kept at a high level. As soon as that rice starts moving, I boiled it straight for 5 minutes. Turn the heat down, sieve the rice, reserve a cup of the water, back into the pan, sieve on top, foil, steam for 10 minutes. When it comes out, give it a good old fluff up with a fork. I can tell just from touching it with a fork how perfect this rice is going to be. Get some of that on your plate. Oh, honestly, trust me. Hey, don't trash the place down, Bowley. And then we're just bringing out this guy. So I'm going to use half my coriander I've got in here. This is always kept at quite a fairly high heat, this garlic curry. I would say we are good to go. So again, that cauliflower, we started with mustard seeds and cumin seeds till the mustard seeds pop. Half a teaspoon of asafoetida, cauliflower in, along with your ground spices, along with your ground up chilies and ginger. Then we kept down a high heat with the lid on for about 7-8 minutes. Then we added the peas and the tomato. Cooked for just a few more minutes, basically just to warm the peas through. Trust me, that there, cauliflower pea curry from the Prashad book with steamed rice, Jamie Oliver style. I could eat it every day of the week. Big love, in a bit.